Boom. We are alive. I came inside and the fucking light was red. I lost my electricity today. That is why we are a little late to the show today. So excuse me about that. I also was working upstairs and outside because there's no electricity inside. Well, I had my backups running the internet, so I was just plugging away, but I unplugged the computer from the microphone and, you know, I lost the sound. So for those of you that are watching it later, I'll edit the beginning part of this out and you'll be listening to me tell you about the fact there's no sound in the beginning when there is, because I'm going to edit it after it goes live. But anyways, that's the updated moment. I came inside, I was freaked out. The light was red. It's just because electricity went off. I sat down, I looked at the computer. I'm like, wait, where the hell are we in the charts? Like, I better make sure I know. I'm like, okay, good, everything's fine. It's like I had to go back and change the light to green myself. I forgot that I'm in control of the light. Keep that in mind, guys. Okay. What was I saying? Yes, I'm trying to tell you guys that I like the area chart and that I like the Heiken Ashi chart for different things. When I'm on the macro perspective, like here with Bitcoin, I really like the area chart. It removes a lot of the confusion, it removes a lot of the chaos, and it removes a lot of the emotion. For those of you in the private den, the private newsletter will come out tomorrow. It's about 18 pages. So it took me a little bit to finish this month, and plus the birthday and the roll and blah, blah. Anyways, so in this nice area chart, I like it cleans up a lot of the noise. And when we get into this stuff, primarily I'm looking at two different types of trades or investments alongside my portfolio, right? My long-term conviction with understanding where we are in the market right now is just to know where we are in the market. I've already taken a bunch of entries in, well, period. I guess it does. I've continued to take entries all the way along most of this, actually. I think that's the right thing to do until the bull market's over. Now, Avalanche, when I'm using the Heiken Ashi charts on the 15-minute, what I'm looking for is the absorption of these supply tests and the rising price and falling supply. So it's a little bit harder to see with the area chart, but when I'm on the bigger time frames, like let's say synthetics, I actually started building a position in synthetics because I kind of missed some of these earlier entries on some of the side plays I wanted to take, just because I was limited to my own even mindset. But now I've just started building a bigger portfolio. I don't care. It could drop down to nothing. I've just started to include a bunch more into my venture capital play. As you can see on the top, I've started to include the company's a bit closer to the company's treasury on this whole top line. Anyways, there's a few more that are still missing, but we'll get to that. So with synthetics on the 4 hour, on the 6 hour, I'm looking for these macro perspectives. So with Bitcoin, I'm looking at the macro perspective, although the Heiken Ashi chart probably actually it gets more people to come look at the live stream because they're like, what the hell is this green line? I've never seen a green line before. Anyways, I do like the area chart. So if you want, it's up at the top here, go area, you can mess around. But I think when I'm charting macro, this just gives me a much clearer image. And right now, what we're witnessing is the resistance and the kind of play at the final part of our resistance line at the top of this trading range from the first buying climax of this area around here. So we're just above it at the moment. And again, this is where if you go to the Heiken Ashi, you can see why I had actually had this just a little higher, is because that's where that wick was as well, which is straight through the center of this entire piece that's being built right here, however you want to look at this section. It's a bird. Anyways, hi birdie. It's late. This is what happens when it's late. Okay, so everything looks great. Everything looks great still. Light's still green. Tio's still happy, although I did scare myself when I came inside and it was red. Oh yeah, I'm in charge. Everything looks great. So the point of the reason why I wanted to bring up the area chart today was because when I sit down at the trading desk and I want to know where I am in the market, I actually prefer to see the market like this because I can quickly go through and go, great, wow, look at synthetics, it's a nice position. I'll even take a position there. Right now, if I want to go and I want to play like a 20x, and I don't suggest anyone who's new play with leverage, you got to be extremely specific, right? And you can start to see that, and it's even clearer when you use the Heiken Ashi chart. So I'm on the 15-minute. We don't normally do this, but I wanted to show, maybe even the 45 minutes probably clear enough too. I wanted to show something that I think is valuable edutainment, entertainment and education. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's 9:45 p.m. with Tio. We're having a live stream. These two rounded bottoms, a double bottom, I think is important. And if you wanted to, you could take a really heavy leverage position here, but there's not a lot of sway, right? If you're talking about 3%, even if this tiny little box we're playing at, like 7%, 12%, very difficult to get it right. But if I'm looking just to take a spot position, and I don't really care about that buffer, I really want that broad, quick perspective view, and the area chart really provides that. It provides me a lot of clean data without any noise, where I can go, hey, this looks great. As far as I can tell, we're right at the bottom of this support line, so I'm just going to add some positions here. And I go through and I go, great, I'll add some positions here for flow. I added more positions here for dot. Band I've added positions for as well. Sushi I started adding as well, just because I can't tell what the fuck it's doing, and because it's spot, I don't really care. I'm like, wait, what the fuck is this? Is this a rising gradient bottom? Is this effectively another like big breakout point for the market? And that's what I've been trying to weigh. You know, one of the things I always dislike, and we talked about this in the private den today, was this idea that when everything looks like it's super bullish, I start to get a little worried. I'm like, wait a second, maybe is the market fucking with me right now? Like, market, have you figured out how to fuck with me? Because it does, and it has, and it's literally the point of the market is to screw with you and try to take your money from you. So effectively, a lot of the positions I've been building are, well, some of them are leveraged, but that's again, that's a different strategy for a particular part of the portfolio. I just take these big, broad spectrum spot buys based off some of the stuff that I'm seeing here. And we did that with KNC the other day, and we've gone over this with you guys, and I just want to kind of share my entry sentiment about the no think, or do more, think less type mentality that I've had for pretty much everything I do in life. See how we're seeing all these very similar rising megaphone patterns, the Jesse Livermore pattern. We've seen these repeat before in the early stages of both Bitcoin and Ethereum before they broke out this year as well. So I get a little concerned. I'm not, but I get a little concerned when I do see all this confluence, just because I start to get weary. Anyways, maybe it's like a survivor bias. You're like, wait, is this the bull market? So we jumped in Kava the other day as well here, because again, we were at the bottom of this rising megaphone pattern. We are seeing a nice bull flag. We did the same thing with Zilliqa in the bear forage. I think going over and kind of giving you guys my broad spectrum macro analysis, where I can look and make entries without thinking. And this is kind of the fun part about years and years of practice with this type of when you get into trading and investing, one of the most difficult aspects is just to always first keep investing, right? And second, to not always be trading. Like, you don't always need to be in a trade. Like, my trading portfolio, if I'm playing with something I'm trying to accomplish, is different than my investment portfolio. I think I've made that I made that very clear with the private group in a lot of my writings, and I feel I say that quite frequently here as well. But you really want to make a clear assertion between what it is you're trying to accomplish with each play. So this is almost all venture capital for me. I feel that lots of entries into these over the next 10 years will yield great results. Will 90% of them fail? Sure. I don't need them all to be successful. We've seen extraordinary gains out of a lot of the plays we took in our early venture capital sector, and I'm not even talking about this anymore because I forgot they were even there. But anyways, I've been kind of separating the Arcane Bear in my own portfolio recently, just because I'm trying to do something new. But here again, I can just click. I can just jump through. Here's FTX. I'm like, okay, great. We saw our spring. We saw our spring. So this is for the more advanced students, obviously. Like, if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is definitely not going to make any sense to you. So stick around. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and catch up with all the things we're going over in class here, basically. But we are in an SOS phase right now of FTT. It looks blatant to me, right? And if we go back and we continue retrospective analysis, which is always so powerful, look how fucking high up we are. And that's the important part, is recognizing that venture capital just requires making entries. Yeah, we're going to have a blowout price and it's going to come collapsing back down. We don't know how far it's going to come back down. That's why remove the initial, or I'm always removing the initial from my venture capital plays and just letting the rest ride. Because if you end up with a big bag, or like, let's say, if you've accumulated a fair amount of enough things, even just a nominal amount of $1,000 each, depending on which one they are, I lean into them, but so just a nice small round number. Everyone can achieve $1,000, I feel. You're going to blow your fucking mind over the course of 10 years. And that's really how venture capital should be played. And the gains are astronomical because you're taking advantage of asymmetry. I can't stress enough, like if you really want to get a clear perspective of how I think, go read people like Nassim Taleb. Go read people like Benoit Mandelbrot. Because I'm not a mathematician, but I love philosophy. And there's something so sweet about these types of mathematics where you're like, oh, this is asymmetry. Like, it's almost like the moment when someone tells you zero exists and you're like, no, how could zero exist? You're like, I don't know, when we were 5 years old, I did not trip out enough about how crazy the idea of absolute nothing is. How did we get to nothing? If we went from nothing to something, we don't spend enough time thinking about kind of the simplicities of the philosophies of mathematics. And that's why I really like this particular area, is because something as simple as the word asymmetry provides us such a valuable sentiment, which you can have huge amounts of upside. If we go, let's go to the daily and look at where we are. We don't even have enough data for Kyber. Oh, there we go. Yes. Okay. So here we go. We've got 2018 and 2021. So here's a buying climax for Kyber. A big piece of it after the 2017 bull market, right? A year after Bitcoin had gone up. And look how short-lived this is, but also look how high it is. Here we probably are. We're just getting started as far as I can tell. This was in 2018. This was not even in the middle of the bull market for Kyber. It's really important when we're doing these to consistently go back in time and take a macro perspective of how we got to where we are today, and why when I'm looking here, I'm saying, holy fuck, I'm bullish. I'm just adding on a daily basis pretty much everything. I'm like, yep, that looks good too. I'll add more there. Yeah, I bought here, I buy here. Like, I just keep adding more effectively. Now, I'm also playing with very small amounts of leverage in my main portfolio. So the Bear Fund's main portfolio is effectively operating at like 2x leverage with a shit ton of collateral in it. So no matter what happens on any of the leverage plays, they will never get liquidated. So let me reiterate that again. No matter what happens, I won't get liquidated. Okay, that's an important function of a portfolio, and you can't manage that with 20x. Or 30x. You can manage it with 3, right? All I need is 3 times the amount of capital of all the plays I've got in there, and I'm fine. This just allows me to take all these side bets and kind of push the edges of the portfolio to grow over time. Anyways, so I guess what I wanted to do was kind of bring this back and be like, okay, well, look where we were even in just September for August for MStable, right? MStable is having basically its first distribution. Here's your selling climax. We might even see that this is an automatic rally and that we get another spring down for MStable, right? Part of this is getting used to finding that we're probably going to witness multiple cycles because of so many different types of alternative assets coming into play, where you're witnessing seed stage venture capital, right? Clearly. Okay, so with the FTT token, I did add more here, and then, well, actually, I took my initial positions here. I wish I had bought this thing way earlier. I wish I started using FTX way long time ago. It's amazing in comparison to Binance, but arcanebear.com/FTX. This just looks like a really nice SOS and backup phase to me. I'm waiting for a little bit more of a declination in the volume signature here, or the supply signature. But we're staying pretty tight along the top of this band, and I would go so far. And this is where I start to use the Heiken Ashes. If I just want a clearer picture of like, okay, dang, yeah, I mean, this looks to me like we're about the very last portions of this trading range, and that right now we're gonna Yeah, we're right in the very last stages of this trading, of the top of this SOS phase from what I can tell. And look how tight it's getting wound up in here pretty much from the volume. It's right in the center of this channel. FTT is likely going to go bang, 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 and fire up real fast. And here, again, on the smaller time frames, you can see, yeah, look, well, there's the decreasing supply signature and generally still a rising price. We want to see it get out of the box technically, but it looks really good. And then again, I generally leave it back in area chart just so I can have that bigger perspective without thinking a whole lot. Avalanche coming in hot today. Nice to see, above $38. We'll go back to the 6 hour. We'll drop into our area chart. It's going to be messy with the area chart, but you can see why. What we were watching here, we had two falling wedges. The primary trading range would look like this. I know it's kind of messy, but excuse me, doing a few things at the same time. And the backup would be here. So here's your primary trading range. Here's the backup phase. And again, I kind of messed this up. I thought we were going to have a really big volatile trading range. And we basically are to some degree. You could see that this could be measured as a spring at one point. And we've seen stuff like this before. It happened with Fetch, which is actually a great example of what I think is about to happen. Is that you see this big distribution moment, you're like, oh my god, yeah, we're up 1,300%, it's probably done. Well, guess what? Fetch wasn't done at 1,300% up. It went up another 6,000 motherfucking percent since we made our entries. What the fuck? Are you kidding me? 8,000% on some of these plays that we were making in August. I hadn't even looked back. Like, you got to stop and look. Like, there's so much going on. Okay. Okay, so we're in a very, very strong case for Avalanche. I'm a big fan here. I've been adding more, I've been adding more and more along this whole bottom part. I was really close to kind of hitting my target, not too far away. So I'll probably just slowly wade into the rest of that position. Just that way I keep the majority of my buys right, or on that the secondary buys right in this area, which is good. Everything's looking good. I'm really stoked about that. Not just Avalanche, but again, when you look at the broad perspective, like, wow, bullish, bullish, holy crap. Not sure about this one, but that sure does look like it could be bullish. Now, see, here's the downside. Sushi is a good example of the potential downside aggregate, which is, I don't know what's happening. We've got this nice rising channel, but the falling supply is always a little bit worrying, because I'm like, when someone's just going to dump a big chunk of supply, like, look back here, look how much supply was chewed up here. They haven't sold any of it yet, and maybe they don't want to, and maybe they won't. So we don't know yet. But I always kind of wait for these moments where I'm like, supply dump, and then you see an actual horizontal trading range take place, where you're like, okay, this is the primary support here. Anyways, so I'm a little cautious with when things like Sushi are providing little data without any real tell of a horizontal trading range. But again, this was so bullish, and here this frigging rising megaphone pattern, just every step of the way, has been so sexy. That's why when I see synthetics, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, band, yeah, sure, yeah, dot, yeah, okay, great, yeah, this looks good. KNC, okay. Cool. Yeah, KNC has worked out great. Yeah, I really like these megaphone patterns mixed with the our reaccumulation patterns and our accumulation patterns. They're absolutely so freaking powerful, and I think that they give a nice finish to, like, where was Sushi Band? One of these was uber volatile. Was it MTA? No, I don't remember. Had a few more open that aren't here. Balancer. Okay, there it is. It was Balancer. So added more positions to Balancer around here the other day. These were all added to our venture capital page on arcanebear.com/club. Right now, again, this is where I start to get a little weary. Okay, we're at the top of the trading range. Is this where we form of that reaccumulation pattern before we get to the bottom of the range? Now, it didn't happen in Ethereum previously. So if we go back and we go to our retrospective studies, And that's what we're trying to do all the time, is just get a better understanding of our own, what we know and what we're learning, because there's so much going on. It's really easy to kind of, well, first off, probably take for granted how much you and, well, I know clearly for myself, how much I've learned this bull market cycle. Wow. Because we were here right at day one, pretty much, the pandemic. That was a big tell. But here's Ethereum coming out of its widening megaphone pattern. And you can probably tell why I'm so excited, is because these became ultimately the big melt your face moments. And that's the impressive part about this stuff, is if we are seeing this many setups that could potentially be melt your face moments right around the corner, and we've seen that with Ethereum, we saw that with Bitcoin right before they started to go pretty much straight up. I think that this aligns well with our Bitcoin thesis, which is that Bitcoin is going much higher, and it's about to take the DeFi sector and a bunch of other players with it, as everyone just kind of boldly invests everywhere. Now, some of this only has to be retail. We do our best to try to make sure that the level of value we bring to the table is that of venture capital, well-researched. Fetch, Seller, Matic, One, Raven, all of them except for Raven, over 4,000%. Everything that was in our venture capital bag from the start of June, July, August, all over 4,000% except for Raven and Litecoin. But that was never really venture capital. That was more like, little baby Bitcoins. They're like Beanie Babies or something. I don't know. The point of all this, yes, I think it is important to do retrospective studies. It's really easy to get caught up in the moment and overstep your own boundaries. When you give yourself the time to go back and look at what happened to KNC before it got here, or what happened to Bitcoin or Ethereum before we got here today, and really try to figure out what happened and what it looks like, you're going to give yourself the time to do so much better, because you're just going to have perspective. And I think a lot of the times it's so easy to get caught up in this little minute area, and you should cherish it, make as many deep connections and relationships with all the little fucking bends and grooves and ticks of the clicker on the tape that you can, because that's what life's about. And then forget about all of it, because that's also what life is about. Yes, everything looks bullish as fuck. I guess that's basically the point of this video. I don't know why it says warning. It's just the only thumbnail I had. I couldn't even get the microphone to work to start off the gate, guys. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the way it goes. Okay. Here we go. Take a look at some questions. Alex wants me to look at Woo. So Woo and Avalanche are actually kind of structures look somewhat similar right now. And this makes sense. So Alex, very specifically, I guess I'll talk to you. So if you will recall the phone call we had the other day, you will remember, if you recall the call, that I showed you some of the background research we do into the people that own a lot of these tokens. And you would probably remember also then that I showed you that all of these people are generally the same fucking people. So a lot of the big tokens are actually all the same investors, right? So you get a very similar structure and shape because it's the same players. So, and that's a really interesting sentiment. So here, I think we added Woo to go over. Oh, yeah, there it was. It's on the purple. I don't know what got on the bottom there. Push it back up. There we go. Okay, so again, not identical. Obviously, the supplies are always different, but nice kind of. I guess you got, here's one of the things, right? Take a look at the measurement of the price here, right? 1,300%, fucking amazing. That's amazing since January. And there's a bunch that have done stuff like this. I think the crazy part is noticing that there's so much momentum going on. We haven't really gone back over some of our initial venture capital plays just because I've been focusing on taking new entries, but we're looking for alpha. I'm really not married to anything here. So when it comes to alpha, one of the difficult things is I try to do as much background research as possible and these are such illiquid products, guys. If you're starting to see profits in any of these things, like, just be sure to shave off your initial quite quickly, because these are very illiquid products. When the bull market ends, they'll come collapsing down quite quickly as well. Now everyone's like, oh, this time it's different, it's a super cycle. Just always make sure you take your initial out so you can always keep investing. But here, this is where I want to go over the structure. The early day here, November, great. We're up 1,300%. It's a beautiful move. If you got in on January, you're killing it. Nice SOS starting to take place here too. Nice real rounded bottom. You know, it's too early to say if it's a cup and handle, considering, well, I mean, could make some conjecture that this was it was a reaccumulation after decline kind of idea. That's actually probably the most sensible at this point. Either that or it's a bigger trading range. And we've talked about this before, that sometimes I can't tell. Like, I think Kava is another good example where our initial entries for Kava are down here because of this trading range that we are watching. We had this for Band, for KNC as well, and then as we started to move out, it became, oh right, there's a bigger trading range here taking place. And I wonder if this is what's happening with Wu here as well. That yes, we probably had a reaccumulation after decline, but in the span of the bull market, these actually might end up turning out to just basically be larger trading ranges to some degree or another. We've got basically a really big shakeout that turns into a rounded bottom, and maybe it turns into a cup and handle later, but the cup and handle would really need to come to the top of the box here for me to feel like it was a cup and handle. Very similar to what we saw, well, not in Band, but KNC. Do you guys remember? Who remembers, Band or KNC? It was KNC. Yeah, KNC had this nice cup and handle where we took our positions at the bottom of the trading range, and it was a reaccumulation after decline, but now it's turned into this cup and handle moment. So again, I think it's really important to recognize that we had a reaccumulation after decline. We produced this in the Bear Forge. We had this nice breakdown. We took our positions in the bottom of the trading range, right out of the backout phase. And then we started to see a rising megaphone pattern on the outside. And then it very quickly became a cup and handle, because here's your cup and here's your handle, effectively, right? And so these similarities when we see in the market, we have to remember that a lot of the players that are here are the same players. So maybe I'll just very quickly, I don't want to give away all of our secret sauce that the private members get, so we won't do it today. If you want to join, just join the private bear den, because remember, it doesn't matter. We're not even going to pitch you guys. It doesn't matter. We're doing fantastic. If you want to join, you can join. You're smart enough, or not. That's your call. Oh, but we will give you a refund if you don't like it for some reason. Very few people have done that, but that's okay. We'll start. I'll tell you about the sickness of the new investor again soon. For right now, most of this is focused on not the new investor. If you are new, I apologize. I'm like not providing like beginner content right now by any stretch of the mind. Okay, so next thing. Yeah, Wu looks good. Again, I think what we're witnessing is probably a larger structure. Very similar to what we saw with KNC, which is you get well, this was even ended up being a much larger structure. What was the time frame for this? Jesus, 232 days. Never mind. Yeah, see, for Kyber Network, you had 232 days between July. Like this was, remember July, when the DeFi market had its first sell-off. Yeah, there we go. And look where it is next to its previous highs. And this was in 2018. This wasn't even in a bull market. Anyways, super fun, guys. Very exciting stuff. You can go hunting pretty much everywhere right now. That's how I feel about it. If you're good and you want to, you can go hunting literally everywhere right now. Okay, I'll leave it at that. It's a little late. I've got a phone call I should get to. I actually probably already... Nope, nice. Didn't. I was muted. Thanks, Alex. I see that. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Oh, yes. Oh, but by the way, remember to follow us on, Arcane Bear everywhere, stuff like that. I appreciate your guys' support, and thanks for sticking with me. Today's episode was a little late and also a little random because I was a little late. Bitcoin exit date. Oh yeah, that'd be great to know the day of, right? I would just set sell on that day. I wouldn't even look at the price. Jerry says, okay, we're gonna jump offline. We'll be back tomorrow. Love you guys. Oh wait, hold on, wait. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. For those of you that are still here, I've got a treat. A lot of you guys often will ask me to play music, and I wanted to do something fun. So, in the spirit of my retirement plan, I want to share this with you. There we go. So hopefully you can hear that. Okay, so anyways, let's take a look. Anyways, that's it. Have your guys' treat. I don't know. I love the clarinet. It sounds so sweet, doesn't it? We'll see you guys again on the next episode. This is Tio and the Arcane Bear. That was